Now let us see first what is mechanics. What is mechanics? Mechanics is the branch of science. Mechanics is the branch of science. Mechanics is the branch of science which deals with branch of science which deals with mechanics is the branch of science which deals with the study of forces and their effects, study of forces and their effects, study of forces and their effects on bodies in motion, on bodies in motion or at rest. So what is mechanics? Mechanics is the branch of science which deals with the study of forces and their effects on bodies in motion or at rest. Okay, this is called as mechanics. Now what is engineering mechanics? What is engineering mechanics? So engineering. Now let us see what is engineering mechanics. So engineering mechanics is also called as applied mechanics. Engineering mechanics is also called as applied mechanics, and it is a study of different laws and principles. It is the study of different laws and principles, different laws and principles of mechanics, applied to the engineering problems, So what is engineering mechanics? It is the study of different laws and principles. It is the study of different laws and principles of mechanics applied to engineering problems. So that is called as engineering mechanics. Now this engineering mechanics is classified into two branches. So engineering mechanics has two branches. So let us see. Engineering mechanics has two branches. So one is statics. And the second is dynamics. Now let us see what is meant by statics. So statics is the branch of engineering mechanics. So it is the branch of engineering mechanics which deals with action of forces, on the bodies at rest, So if the body is at rest condition, then the study of forces, that branch is called as statics. Now what is dynamics? Dynamics is the branch of engineering mechanics which deals with action of forces on the bodies in motion, So that branch is called as study of motion. That branch is called as dynamics. Now this dynamics is further classified into two branches. So dynamics is classified into two branches. One is the kinetics. And the second is kinematics. Now what is kinetics? So what is kinetics? Kinetics is the branch of dynamics. Which deals with the study of forces, action of forces on the bodies in motion, considering mass of body. So what is kinetics? It is the branch of dynamics which deals with the action of forces on the bodies in motion with considering mass of body. And what is kinetics? Kinetics is the branch of dynamics which deals with action of forces on the bodies in motion without considering mass of body. Without considering mass of body. Without considering mass of body. So that branch is called as kinematics. That branch is called as kinematics. So this is the definition of mechanics and engineering mechanics, and these two are the statics and dynamics are two branches of engineering mechanics, and again dynamics have two branches, that is kinetics and kinematics. So see friends, what is mean by particle? What is particle? Particle is the portion of mass, the portion of mass without any, the portion of mass without any dimensions, and containing definite amount of matter, containing definite amount of matter. What is particle? Particle is the portion of mass without any dimensions and containing definite amount of matter. So this is nothing but particle P. This is particle P having there is no dimension and containing definite amount of matter. Now let us see what is meant by body. What is meant by body? Now let us see what is meant by body. So what is body? Body is an object having, body is nothing but object having definite mass and occupying definite space. Definite mass and occupying definite space. Occupying definite space. So that is called as body. So what is body? Object having definite mass and occupying definite space. So that is called as body. Now there are two types of bodies. One is a rigid body. So there are two types of body. So one is a rigid body. Now let us see what is meant by rigid body. What is meant by rigid body? Now we know that if force is applied on a body, some body is there, and if force is applied on a body, and if there is no change in a dimension or there is no change in shape and size of body, then that body is called as rigid body. So what is meant by rigid body? The body which does not undergoes, the body which does not undergo any deformation, which does not undergo any deformation. So what is meant by deformation? Deformation means change in shape and size or change in dimension. So due to application of force, without undergo any deformation due to application of force. Due to application of force. So due to application of force, if there is no deformation of body, then that body is called as rigid body. But this rigid body is theoretical concept. So this is the theoretical concept, because in universe there is no perfectly rigid body. So it is a theoretical concept. It is a theoretical concept. Now, but in mechanics, some of the bodies are assumed to be the rigid bodies. In mechanics, some bodies are assumed to be rigid bodies. Now let us see the second type of body, that is deformable body. Deformable body. Deformable body. So rigid body is a non-deformable body, and the second type is deformable body. What is meant by deformable body? So the body which undergo deformation due to application of force. The body which undergoes the body which undergo deformation due to application of force, due to application of force. Means if this is a body and if force is applied on a body, then dimensions or deformation takes place, or dimensions will change, or shape or size will change. So that body is called as deformable body. So this deformable body having two types. One is a elastic body. Deformable body has two types. One is elastic body. So one is elastic body. One is elastic body. So what is elastic body? The body which regain its original shape and size. The body which regain its original. The body which regain its original shape and size. Regain its original shape and size after removal of external force. After removal of external force. After removal of external force. So that body is called as elastic body. Now what is plastic body? Second type is plastic body. What is plastic body? The body which does not regain its original shape and size. Which does not regain its original shape and size. Original shape and size after removal of external force. After removal of external force. That body is called as plastic body. So what is particle is that the portion of mass without any dimensions and containing definite amount of matter. So what is body? Then there are two types of bodies. Rigid body is there, deformable body is there, and there are two types of deformable bodies, elastic body and plastic body. Now let us see what is mass and what is weight. So what is mass? Mass is the quantity of matter. Mass is the quantity of matter. Quantity of matter contained in a body. Quantity of matter contained. Quantity of matter contained in a body. Quantity of matter contained in a body. So that is called as mass, and it is denoted by m, small m. It is denoted by m, and its SI unit is kilogram. This SI unit is kilogram. The symbol is kg, and this is the scalar quantity. This is the scalar quantity because it has only magnitude. Now let us see what is meant by weight. What is meant by weight? So let us see what is meant by weight. So what is weight? Weight is the force of attraction with which 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 the body is attracted towards the earth center. So that force is called as weight. So what is weight? The force of attraction with which the body is attracted towards the earth center. So this is a body, and this is earth center. So this is weight towards earth center. So it has magnitude as well as direction. So it is a vector quantity. Now it is denoted by capital W, and its SI unit is Newton. And the formula is W is equal to mass into gravitational acceleration. mass into gravitational acceleration. Now, what is the main difference between mass and weight? What is the main difference between mass and weight? Mass is a body. Mass of a body remains constant at all places. So mass remains constant at all places. Remains constant at all places. Mass remains constant at all places means that is on the earth, that is on the earth, moon, sun, moon and sun. So mass is constant at all places. And what is weight? Weight of a body changes from place to place. So weight of body changes from weight of body changes from place to place. Changes from place to place. So the weight of if mass of a body is 60 kg on earth, you can measure that mass on moon or sun. It is remains constant, that is 60 kg. And if weight of a body on earth is 100 newton, it will be different on moon and it will be again different on sun, because weight on earth is equal to mass of body into gravitational acceleration on earth. Gravitational acceleration on earth. So gravitational acceleration on earth is approximately 9.81 on earth, and it is different on moon and it is again different on sun. So weight of a body is different on at various places. So this is the main difference between mass and weight. Mass and weight. Now friends, let us see what is mean by scalar quantity and vector quantity. Scalar quantity and vector quantity. So what is scalar quantity? A physical quantity having magnitude only and no direction. So magnitude only. The physical quantity having magnitude only and no direction. No direction. So that quantity is called as scalar quantity. That quantity is called as scalar quantity. And these quantities can be added or subtracted. These quantities can be added or subtracted. By arithmetical operations. By arithmetical operations. So for example, scalar quantities are mass having no direction, only magnitude. So mass is there. Time is also scalar quantity. Speed is a scalar quantity. Area, volume. Power is also a scalar quantity. Work is a scalar quantity. Also temperature is also one of the scalar quantity. Means this quantity is having only magnitude. There is no direction. Now what is vector quantity? What is vector quantity? A physical quantity having both mass and physical quantity having both magnitude and direction. Both magnitude and direction. So that quantity is called as vector quantity. Now vector quantities are added and subtracted by means of vector operations. And the examples of vector quantities are force. Force is having both magnitude and direction. Also momentum is there. Then velocity is also vector quantity. Then acceleration is also vector quantity. And displacement is also vector quantity. So these quantities having magnitude as well as direction. So these quantities are known as vector quantities. So there is a basic difference between scalar quantity and vector quantity. Scalar quantity having magnitude only, vector quantity has magnitude as well as direction, and these quantities are added and subtracted by means of arithmetical operations, and these quantities are added and subtracted by means of vector operations, and these are the examples. So this is the scalar and vector quantity. Now see what is physics. What is physics? So physics is the study of nature and its laws. Physics is the study of physics is the study of nature and its laws. Study of nature and its laws. Now events in nature takes place according to some basic laws. Events in nature are takes place according to some basic laws, and revealing these laws of nature from the observed events is nothing but physics. Now what are the events of nature? What are the events of nature? So some events of nature are orbiting of moon, orbiting of the moon around the earth, orbiting of the moon around the earth. Also raining is there, rain. Also tides are there, tides in sea, tides in sea. Also rainbow is there, rainbow. Then falling apple, falling of an apple, falling of an apple from a tree, from a tree. This is also one of the natural event. Also the winds, the winds, the winds. Then the sands, the water, the sands, the water, the rain, the planets, the planets. These all are the natural events. Also the energy from sun, energy from sun, energy from sun. So these are the some natural events, and scientists, what scientists do, scientists observe these natural events and study the basic laws. So that study of basic laws of nature is nothing but physics. Now these all are the events of nature. So since physics is the study of nature, it is real. Physics is the study of nature, therefore it is real. It is real, and no one has been given the authority to frame the rules of physics. No one has given the authority to frame the rules of physics. We only discover the rules that are operating in nature. We only discover the rules that are operating in nature. So that is physics. Now the description of nature become easy. Description of nature becomes easy. If we have the freedom to use mathematics. So description of nature is easy. Description of nature become easy if we have the freedom to use mathematics. If you have the freedom to use mathematics. Then let us see one example. Gravitational force. There is a law of gravitation. So what is the statement of law of gravitation? The gravitational force between two masses is proportional to the product of the masses and is inversely proportional to the square of the distance apart. Now it is somewhat difficult. it is more difficult to understand. So I can write this: the force of attraction between two masses is directly proportional to the product of masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance apart. So it is simple to understand. It is simple and description. So thus the mathematics is the language of physics. This mathematics is the language of physics. Mathematics is the language of physics. Now without knowledge of mathematics, it would be much more difficult to discover, to understand and to explain the laws of nature. So without knowledge of mathematics, it is not possible to discover, understand and explain the laws of nature. So it is required it is required to have a knowledge of physics and mathematics for engineer. So physics describes the laws of nature, and this description is quantitative and involves measurement and comparison of physical quantities, and for that mathematics is the language of physics, and the knowledge of physics and mathematics is necessary for mechanical engineer. Now let us see, friends, what is unit. What is unit? What is unit? So what is unit? Standard of measurement. Standard of measurement is called as unit. Standard of measurement for the physical quantity. Standard of measurement for the physical quantity, that is called as unit. So the unit should have international acceptance. Unit should have international acceptance. International acceptance. International acceptance. So unit should have international acceptance. Now who decides units? So who decides units? A body named as general. The body named General Conference. General Conference on Weight and General Conference on Weight and Measures. General Conference on Weight and Measures has been given the authority to decide the units by international agreements. So this is the GCWM. So this is the body which decide the unit for physical quantity. Now there are two types of units. So one is a fundamental units. Now what is fundamental units? Now let us see what is meant by fundamental units. But before that, you should know what is meant by fundamental quantity. So the quantity which does not depend on any other physical quantity. That quantity is called as fundamental quantity. So what is fundamental quantity? The quantity which does not depend on any other physical quantity for their description. That quantity is called as fundamental quantity. And the unit used for measurement of fundamental quantity is called as fundamental unit. The fundamental quantities are independent of each other. independent of each other, and all other quantities may be expressed in terms of the fundamental quantities. Now there are 7 fundamental quantities. There are 7 fundamental quantities. So one is length. One is length, and its unit is meter. Its unit is meter, and the symbol is m. Then the second fundamental unit is mass, and its unit is kilogram. Its unit is kilogram, and the symbol of unit is kg. Now the third unit is time. Third fundamental unit is time, and its unit is second, and the symbol is small s. Now the fourth unit is temperature. Fourth unit is temperature, and the unit of temperature is Kelvin, and the notation is K. Now the fifth fundamental quantity is amount of substance. Amount of substance. Amount of substance. So its unit is mole, and the notation is MOL. Now the sixth fundamental quantity is current, electric current. Electric current. Now the unit of electric current is ampere. Ampere, and symbol is capital A. Now seventh fundamental quantity is luminous intensity. Luminous intensity. Luminous intensity, and the unit is candela. Candela, and the symbol is CAD. Now there are two supplementary units. So besides fundamental units, there are two supplementary units. Supplementary units. So what are the two supplementary units? So one is a plane angle. Plane angle. One is a plane angle. So its unit is radian. Plane angle unit is radian, and symbol is rad. Second is solid angle. Second supplementary unit is solid angle, and its unit is steradian. Steradian, and the symbol is SR. Steradian. So these are the fundamental units. So there are 7 fundamental quantities having 7 fundamental units, and there are some quantities which are expressed in terms of these fundamental quantities. That quantities are called as derived quantities. Now let us see, friends, what is meant by derived units. So the quantities which are derived by using fundamental quantities are called as derived quantities. Quantities which are derived from fundamental quantities. Fundamental quantities are called derived quantities. And the units used for measurement of derived quantities are called as derived units. So units used for measurement of derived quantities are called as derived units, and the units used for measurement of derived quantities are called as derived units. Now what are the examples of derived units? So one is area. So there are many examples, so I will take some here. So first unit is area. The unit is meter square. That is nothing but length into length. Now the second unit is velocity. So what is the unit of velocity? Meter per second. So it is nothing but length divided by time. So these are the two fundamental quantities. These are the two different fundamental quantities, and this unit is derived from two fundamental quantities. Now let us see the third example is acceleration. Acceleration, and the unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So length divided by time into time. So these three are the fundamental quantities, and this unit is derived from three fundamental quantities. Now the fourth, let us take fourth example, force. Now unit of force is kg meter per second square. Now kg means mass is there, mass into meter means length is there, length divided by time into time. So these are the four different fundamental quantities, and this unit is derived from four fundamental quantities. So fundamental quantity is independent on means fundamental quantities are not dependent on each other, but derived quantities are depends on each other as well as on fundamental quantities. So that are so these are the some examples of derived quantities. Now friends, see system of units. So there are four system of units. One is a MKS system of units. MKS system. So in MKS system, length, mass and time. So here is length, here mass, and here is time. So in case of MKS system, so I will erase this and writing here MKS system. So in MKS system, the unit of length is meter. The unit of mass is kg, and the unit of time is second. Now the second system of units is CGS system. So in CGS system, the unit of length is centimeter, the unit of mass is gram, and the unit of time is second. Now the third system of units is FPS system. Now in FPS system, the unit of length is foot. The unit of mass is pound. And the unit of time is again second. And the fourth and most important system is SI system. So what is SI system? It's a international system of units. Its French name is Système International de Units. So for the, from French name, it is indicated as SI system. In English, it is known as International System of Units. Now in SI system, the unit of length is meter, the unit of mass is kg, and the unit of time is second. So these are the system of units, and SI system is widely used throughout the world. Now friends, let us see the Newton's laws of motion. These Newton's laws of motion are very important in mechanical engineering. So there are three Newton's laws of motion. So first is a Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion. What is the statement of Newton's first law of motion? So every body continues to be in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line until or unless, straight line, unless it is acted upon by some external agency. It is acted upon by some external agency, to change the state, to change the state. So in simple words, how to understand this Newton's first law of motion. So if this is a body, which is at rest, so it remains at rest unless it is acted upon by some external agency. So this is external agency. Then if external agency is acted upon body, then only the state of this body will change. Now let us see another example. If this is body in motion, so this is body in motion, and it remains in motion unless it is acted upon by some external agency. So this is external agency. This is Newton's first law of motion. Now let us see the Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. What is Newton's second law of motion? The statement is the rate of change of momentum, of body. The rate of change of momentum of body is directly proportional to the unbalanced force, acting on the body, and takes place in the direction of force, So this is the Newton's second law of motion. So we will see in the next discussions. This law will help us in next discussions. Now let us see the Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion. What is Newton's third law of motion? So to every action, there is always an equal and opposite reaction. So Newton's third law of motion is very simple. To every action, there is always an equal and opposite reaction. So let us assume if this is you, and if this is your friend, and if you try to push your friend, here, so what will happen? Your friend does not change his position because his power to stay at same place, because he will use his power to stay at his place. So for your action, your friend will give equal and opposite reaction. So in case of mechanical engineering, if this is a body, and if this is support, and the body, this is weight of body, and this support will this is action of body on this surface. So this surface will also give one reaction. So that normal reaction of this surface on this body. So this is the Newton's third law of motion, and these three laws are very important for our further discussions. Now see the next concept, that is concept of force. Concept of force, and this concept of force is derived from Newton's first law of motion. Now let us see. This is one body. This is body. This is a body which is at rest. This is body which is at rest, and this body continues in its state of rest unless it is acted upon by some external agency. So this external agency is nothing but force. This external agency is nothing but force. So what is meant by force? What is force? Let us take another example also. If this is a body in motion, then it continues in its condition of motion unless it is acted upon by some external agency. So if you want to move this body, you require some external agency. That external agency is called as force. If this is body in motion, and if you want to stop this body, then you require some external agency. That external agency is nothing but force. So what is the definition of force? Let us see the definition of force. An external agency which changes or tends to change the state of body. Tends to change the state of body. So that external agency is called as force. So from Newton's second law of motion, now let us derive formula for force. Now let us derive the formula for force. So the formula for force is derived from Newton's second law of motion. So what is Newton's second law of motion? We know the Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. What is Newton's second law of motion? The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to unbalanced force. So force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. The rate of change of momentum. Now what is momentum? What is momentum? So momentum is a mass into velocity. Mass into velocity. Now what is initial momentum? What is initial momentum? So see, what is initial? What is initial momentum? What is initial momentum? Mass into initial velocity. Mass into initial velocity. So that is equal to m into u. Now what is final momentum? Final momentum. So final momentum is equal to mass into final velocity. Mass into final velocity. So that is mass into, let us assume, final velocity is v. Now what is change in a momentum? What is change of momentum? Change of momentum. What is change of momentum? Final momentum minus initial momentum. Final momentum minus initial momentum. Final momentum minus initial momentum. That is, final momentum is mv and initial momentum is mu. So that is equal to m v minus u. M into v minus u. So this is the change of momentum. Now we require what? Rate of change of momentum. Rate of change of momentum. Rate of change of momentum. So that is equal to rate means divided by time. Divided by time. Now what is force? Force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. So therefore force is equal to mass into this v minus u divided by t is acceleration. And I am taking constant here 1. Proportionality constant 1. So this is the formula for force. So force is nothing but mass into acceleration. So this v minus u by time means change in velocity by time is acceleration. So formula for force is mass into acceleration. Now what is SI unit for force? What is SI unit? So the unit of mass is kg and the unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So the unit of force is kg meter per second square. So this is the unit of force. Now you can observe Newton gives his Newton was given his uh, contribution in the field of force. So this unit is denoted by Newton. So the name of Newton is given for this unit of force. So kg meter per second square is also denoted as Newton. So 1 Newton is equal to 1 kg meter per second square. Now 1 kilonewton is 10 raised to 3 Newton, means 1000 Newton. Also 1 meganewton is 10 raised to 6 Newton. 1 giganewton is there, so that is equal to 10 raised to 9 Newton. Also the MKS unit of force is 1 kgf, means 1 kilogram force is equal to 9.81 Newton, means 1 into 1 kilogram force means 1 into gravitational acceleration 9.81, that is equal to this value 9.81 Newton. So then how to represent force? So force is a vector quantity, so it has a direction and magnitude also. If 10 Newton is force, then this is representation of force. Now see what are the characteristics of force. So there are 4 characteristics for force. One is magnitude. So magnitude is one of the characteristics of force. So force have the quantity of force. The quantity of force, that is called as magnitude. Means 10 Newton, this is the magnitude. For example, 20 Newton, this is the magnitude. Then force is also having direction. Force has direction. So therefore, if force has magnitude as well as direction, therefore force is a vector quantity. So direction means line of action of force. Line of action of force. Line of action of force. Means if this is a force, then this is a magnitude and this is a line of action of force. So this direction is, suppose, positive x direction. Positive x direction. Positive x direction. Now this is about direction. So this is about direction. Now the third characteristic of force is point of application. Point of application. So the point of application means the point at which force is applied on body. The point at which the force, the point at which the force acts on the body. So that point is called as point of application. Then the fourth characteristic is nature of force. Nature of force. So there are two types of nature of force, pull and push type nature. Pull or push type force. Pull or push type force. So what is meant by pull type force? So pull type force is nothing but the force away from the point of application. The force or this arrow is away from the application point of application. Then that force is called as pull force. Away from the point of application. If this arrow of force is away from the point of application, then that force is called as pull force. And if the arrow pointed towards the point of application, arrow pointed towards the point of application, then the force is called as push type force. Now let us see one example. So this is a body. This is a body, and this is a point of application, and the force is acted on this point. So the force is 20 kilonewton. So what is the magnitude of force? So this is the magnitude of force. This is the magnitude of force, and this is the direction of force. So this is the direction of force, means positive x direction. And point of application is this O. O is the point of application, and nature of force is away from the point of application. Therefore nature of force is pull type force. Pull type force is the nature of force. So these are the four characteristics of force. Now see what are the effects of force on a body. Effects of force on a body. So if force is acting on the body, it may change the state of a body. It may change the state of a body. There are two states. One is a state of rest, and second is a state of motion. So force may change the state of rest or state of motion of the body. Then the second effect of force is it may accelerate or retard the motion of body. Retard the action, or accelerate or retard the motion of body. Retard the motion of body. So the force acting on body may accelerate or retard the motion of body. Means increase the speed of body or decrease the speed of body. Then the third effect of force is if force acting on body, it may turn or rotate the body. It may turn or rotate the body. So this is the effect of force. Then the fourth effect of force is it may deform the body. It may deform the body. Means if force is acting on body, the dimensions or shape or size of body will change. So these four are the main effects of force on a body. Now see the principle of transmissibility. Principle of transmissibility. If this is a body, if this is one assumed body, now this is a point of application, and the F is force. F is force, and this O is point of application. Now this principle of transmissibility. So the statement is, if a force acts at a point, if a force acts at a point on a rigid body, on a rigid body, it is assumed it is assumed it is assumed to act it is assumed to act at any other point on the line at any other point on the line of action of force within the body within the body within the body. So what is the meaning of this statement? If this is one of the rigid body, this is the rigid body, and this is a force F acting at point O. Now this is the line of action of force. This is the line of action of force, and within the body, the force is same at each point. Means at this point, force is F. Means similar to this force. Also at this point B, the force is same, that is F. Within the body, at any point within the body, the force is same on line of action of force only. So that principle is called as principle of transmissibility. So we will use this principle in case of equilibrium of forces. Now see the system of forces. So what is meant by system of forces? When two or more forces, what is system of forces? When two or more forces act on a body, they are said to form a system of force. They are said to form system of force. So if two or more forces act on a body, then they are said to form a system of force. So there are two systems of forces. So one is a coplanar force system. One is a coplanar force system. So what is coplanar force system? If line of action of all forces lie on the same plane. If line of action of all forces lie on the same plane. Then the system is called as coplanar force system. So now we know that this is the coordinate system. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. So this plane is called as xy plane, this plane is yz plane, this plane is xz plane. So coplanar force system means all the forces are in one plane. So these are the forces are in one plane, that is xy plane. So this system is called as coplanar force system. Now what is non-coplanar force system? Second type is non-coplanar force system. Non-coplanar force system. What is non-coplanar force system? If lines of action of all forces lie on different planes. If line of action of all forces lie on different planes, then the system is called as non-coplanar force system. So this is the coordinate system. This is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. Then forces are in different planes means if this force is in xy plane, this is one force in yz plane, and this is one of the force in xz plane. So this system is called as non-coplanar force system. Now the coplanar force system having also 4 types. So coplanar force system has 4 types, that is collinear force system, concurrent force system, non-concurrent force system and parallel force system. Now what is meant by collinear force system? If the forces acting along the same line of action, if the forces acting along the same line of action, then the system is called as collinear force system. Means what? This is the example. So this is the body and this is a string. So the weight of body is acting towards earth center W and the tension on a string is T. So these two forces are in one line of action. So this is the collinear force system. Now second type is concurrent force system. So what is concurrent force system? If the forces meet at a point, single point, then the system is called as concurrent force system. Let us see one example. If this is a body and this is supported by this one string, this is another one string, and the weight of body is acting towards earth center W. So the tension on this string is T1, tension on this string is T2. So all the forces are meet at this point called as O. So this is the common point for all forces. Therefore this system is called as concurrent force system. Now what is non-concurrent force system? If the forces acts at a different points. If the forces acts at a different points, then the system is called as non-concurrent force system. So if this is a beam having two supports, and this is one force acting at this point, this is another force acting at this point. So there are different points of application of force. So this system is called as non-concurrent force system. Now what is parallel force system? If the forces whose lines of action are parallel to each other, so that force system is called as parallel force system. Now this is the parallel force system. Now it has also two types. Like parallel force system and unlike parallel force system. Like parallel force system and unlike parallel force system. What is meant by like parallel force system? If the parallel forces acting in same direction, then the system is called as like parallel force system. And if the forces acting in opposite directions but parallel to each other and acting in opposite direction, then this force system is called as unlike parallel force system. So this is the classification of force systems. Now see what is meant by resolution of force. What is meant by the resolution of force? So what is meant by resolution of force? The way of representing a single force, into number of forces, and so on. So if this is a one force F, so that force is called as resultant force. resultant force, and this resultant force is represented into different forces. So without changing the effort of the forces on a body, the components of this resultant forces are F1, F2, F3 and so on. So how to resolve a force into two mutually perpendicular components. So let us see how to resolve. So resolution of force into two mutually perpendicular components. Let us see how to resolve a force into two mutually perpendicular components. So if this is a force F, so this is a force F, and this is point of application O, and this is, so the two mutually perpendicular components means this is component 1, so this is called as Fx, and the vertical component of this force is Fy. So this is x-axis, and if this is y-axis, and this is force F, and this is angle theta about x-axis. This is angle theta of F about x-axis. Then this horizontal component is called as Fx, and this vertical component is called as Fy. So how to find out this horizontal and vertical component? So we know the rules of trigonometry. This is angle theta and this is the right angle triangle. So the cos theta from this triangle is, cos theta is equal to nothing but, we know that adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. What is adjacent side? That is Fx, and hypotenuse is F. Therefore Fx, that is horizontal component, Fx is equal to F cos theta. So in this way we can find out the horizontal component or component in x direction of this force. Then we have to find out the component of force in y direction. So how to find? Let us take a sin theta. So sin theta is equal to opposite side divided by hypotenuse. So opposite side is Fy and hypotenuse is F. So Fy is a vertical component, that is component in y direction. So Fy is equal to F sin theta. So this is the way of resolving force into two mutually perpendicular components. Now how to resolve a force into two non-perpendicular components. So resolution of force. Let us see the resolution of force into two non-perpendicular components. So how to resolve in two non-perpendicular components? If there is, this is force F, so this is one component, suppose this is one component F1 and this is another component F2. Now this angle is alpha and this angle is beta. If this angle is beta, then how to resolve this F into F1 and F2? So use sine rule for this. So we know that sine rule, F1 divided by sine angle between other two forces, means F1 divided by sine beta, which is equal to F2 divided by the angle between other two forces, that is sine alpha, that is equal to F divided by angle between other two forces, means alpha plus beta, sine angle of other two forces, sine alpha plus beta. So this is the sine rule, and by using this sine rule, we can find out F1 by taking these two terms, and we can find out F2 by taking these two terms. So F1 is equal to F sine beta. So sine beta goes on this side. So F sine beta divided by sine alpha plus beta. And F2 is equal to F2 is equal to F sine alpha divided by sine alpha plus beta. So in this way we can find out the two non-perpendicular components of any force. So this is the resolution of force. Now see what is the moment of force. What is the moment of force? It is the rotational effect. What is moment of force? It is the rotational effect produced by a force on a body. Produced by a force. Rotational effect produced by a force on a body. On which it acts. So that is called as moment of force. Now by mathematically, moment of force is equal to force into perpendicular distance of force from point at which moment is to be calculated. So moment of force about a point. So this is the formula for moment of force. Means if this is force here and this is point, and we have to find moment about this point O, then the moment is, and if this is a perpendicular distance x, then moment of about this point O is MO is equal to force into perpendicular distance x. So this is the formula for moment. Now what is the unit for moment? So unit of force is Newton and unit of distance is meter. So unit of moment is Newton meter. SI unit of moment is Newton meter. Now what is it? Sign convention for moment. If this is a point and this is force F, this is O, then the moment at point O is clockwise. So this is clockwise moment, and take clockwise moment positive in calculations. Now if this is a point O and this is force F acting at this point, then the moment of this force about point O is anti-clockwise, and take this moment is negative in calculations. So this is the sign convention for moment. Now what is couple? Now see what is couple. The couple is two equal unlike parallel non-collinear forces form a couple. So two equal unlike parallel non-collinear forces form a couple. So that is, this is force F. If this is force F, then this is equal force F, but these two forces are unlike parallel forces and also non-collinear, and this is the distance between two forces. So this forms a couple. Now as the forces are equal and opposite, their resultant is 0. So resultant of couple is 0, and the moment is P into x. F into x. One of the force into perpendicular distance into distance between two forces is nothing but moment, and moment is constant at every point in the couple. So this is the couple. Now let us see what is the composition of forces. So resolution means convert one force into number of components, and composition means convert number of forces into one force, that is resultant. Now if like this is F1, if this is F2, this is F3, then how to convert these three forces in one resultant? So R is equal to take the forces towards left side as a negative, forces towards right side as positive. So F1 is positive, so plus F1 minus F2 plus F3. So in case of collinear force system, this is the resultant. Now if these are the two forces, that is P and this is Q, and this is angle theta, then how to find out resultant in this case? So for that, parallelogram law of forces is used. Parallelogram law of forces is used. Then how to find out resultant? Draw a parallelogram. Draw a parallelogram and draw this, and this is a resultant. This is the resultant, and the angle of resultant is alpha. Angle of resultant is alpha, and the formula for resultant is R is equal to root P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta, plus 2PQ cos theta. So this is the magnitude of resultant, and the direction is alpha is equal to tan inverse Q sin theta divided by P plus Q cos theta. So for this formulas, diagram is like this. And if the forces are more than 2, then the resultant can be find out by using this formula, summation fx square plus summation fy square. So if the forces are more than 2, then resolve each force in two components, that is fx and fy, and then take a summation of components in the direction of x, take a summation of components in the direction of y, and use this formula for find out resultant. And the position of this resultant tan theta is equal to summation fy divided by summation fx. Now let us see what is meant by free body diagram. What is meant by free body diagram? So if the body is free from its surroundings, then it is called as free body. And if all active and reactive forces acting on a free body are shown, then the diagram is known as free body diagram. Now let us see this case. So this is a body and this is string. So tension T is on the string and load W is on the toward the center. Now the free body diagram of this body is, so this is the body, this is the all active and reactive forces. So this is active force, this is reactive force. So this is a free body diagram, means the diagram which is free from support. It's called as free body diagram. Now let us consider this second case. So this is the one of the body, this is one body, these are the surfaces. Now this is the W. Now the free body diagram of this circular body is, so this is W. Now this support, the reactive force, support will give reaction here. So this reaction we can transmit here by using principle of transmissibility. So this is reaction R1, and this surface will also apply one reaction, so we can transmit here. So this is the reaction of this surface R2. So this is the free body diagram of this body. Now how to find out R1 and R2 in this case? So in equilibrium, Lami's theorem is used. Lami's theorem. Lami's theorem. So before that, what is meant by equilibrium? Any system of forces which keeps the body at rest is said to be in equilibrium. So there are, for coplanar concurrent forces, there are two conditions for equilibrium. That is, for coplanar system, the two conditions are summation fx is equal to 0, summation fy is equal to 0. And for coplanar non-concurrent forces, three conditions are there. Means summation m is third condition for non-concurrent force system. Now what is Lami's theorem for this case? If W is known and R1 and R2 we have to calculate, and if this angle is alpha, this angle is beta, and this angle is gamma, then Lami's theorem states that W divided by the sine angle between other two forces, that is sine alpha, that is equal to R1 divided by sine angle between other two forces, so sine alpha, sine gamma, so that is equal to R2 divided by sine angle between other two forces, that is sine beta. So this is the Lami's theorem. If W is known, alpha, beta, gamma is known, then you can easily find out R1 and R2. So this is the prerequisite for strength of material subject for the chapters stress and strain. Also, it is important in case of beams and in all subjects of mechanical engineering. So these are the basic concept from engineering mechanics subject, which are important to study further advanced subject, that is strength of materials, theory of machine, design of machine elements. So thank you very much. Subscribe my channel. If you like this video, then give a like and give comment. Also, if there is any doubt, then ask in comment box. Thank you very much.